You are about to listen to a Beyond the Wheel mini pod.
Hey everybody, it's Sean here from Beyond the Wheel podcast, and I came across an article today that I was reading on our Beyond the Wheel podcast RV news section, and it really, first of all, scared me, and second, I thought it was a good time it really brought up a lot about safety and reminding people about safety when driving in your motorhome or towable or whatever kind of camper that you have. First and foremost, I want to say I'm not at all picking on the people who were the unfortunate victims in this accident. I am simply just using this as a point to emphasize safety and the kind of things you can do to hopefully not have this happen to you. But in reality, it could happen to any one of us. This was an article about an accident that occurred on September 26th, just after noon in Idaho. What they said happened was a 2007 Holiday Rambler towing a Jeep Wrangler had a front tire blowout on the motorhome. As a result, the motorhome left the highway and actually went pretty far off the highway before it stopped and really damaged the entire RV. And I'll post a link to the article in the show notes so that you can read it and see the pictures. One of the terrible things that occurred was it was two 64-year-old individuals, and the passenger was not wearing a seatbelt and was ejected from the vehicle. Both individuals were transported to an area hospital, and I hope that they are both doing well and will recover and will be able to get back on the road in probably a new RV, or at least a new RV to them. So the first thing I wanted to emphasize about safety is, of course, you're in a house, especially if you're full-time, your motorhome is your home or your RV is your home. And so we tend to get comfortable in our home. In situations where you're driving down the road, I think you need to treat it less like a home and more like a vehicle. Being in a vehicle means wearing your seatbelt. So this is just an example. It would be really scary and possibly critical if you are ejected from an RV. First of all, you're sitting up pretty high. The glass is pretty big. You could fall pretty far and pretty long distance away from the RV, depending on the speed of the RV. So when you're in an RV, when you're driving between locations, it really is a good idea to wear your seatbelt, be conscious about wearing your seatbelt. I know many people that get up and walk around while they're driving, passengers, not the driver, obviously, but many people that get up and walk around while the RV is on the road, and it's just not a good practice. And then further, if you have kids, there's specific rules about how they should be seated, particularly if they require car seats. Not all seats in the RV are appropriate for that. So check, your safety with being buckled in while driving down the road. Many states have laws that you need to be buckled in. Many states have laws about the children being buckled in. So make sure you're paying attention to that and not so much worry about the law, but worry about your safety. And this is a prime example of an unexpected event that can happen even if the driver is being very safe. Something can happen that is out of their control, and you can be seriously injured or even worse, killed when something happens to the motorhome and you're not buckled in. So just please pay attention to that. I think this is a good time to stress that, given this bad accident that occurred with this couple. The other things I'm curious about, and it was a 2007 Holiday Rambler. So I looked up the brochure. I don't know what model of Holiday Rambler it was, but in 2007, according to the brochures for Holiday Rambler, they did not have tire pressure monitors on there. So one of the things you can do to check or keep track of your tires is to have a tire pressure monitor. And one like I have for my fifth wheel and truck is the TST, and that also monitors the temperature. When the temperature gets too hot, you can have a RV tire blowout. That's one of the ways that it can occur. So monitoring the temperature with that TST tire monitor, and I'll put a link to the one that we have also in the notes, but that can maybe warn you, although some blowouts there is no indication, but it's another safety tool that you can have in your safety belt, so to speak, that will maybe alert you that something's going on with one of your tires. You can set parameters on there, and if it goes above a certain temperature, and you can look at the manufacturer of your tires, and it will tell you which of the, what the temperature is, the high temperature should be where you're concerned. And you can set that in the tire pressure monitor, and then you can know when the temperature is getting too hot. And that goes the same for the pressures. You don't want to run your pressures too low because that builds up heat in the tire, and then that could also cause a blowout. So monitoring the temperature and the pressures of your tires is important. Another thing, which I don't think occurred in this case, but something everyone should be aware of, is riding your brakes, because that will heat the tires up as well. And I pulled up the Google Maps where this accident occurred, and it looked like it was pretty flat roads, so they probably weren't riding the brakes, but this is something that can cause a blowout. Another thing I wanted to mention about blowouts is just the tire health. You want to make sure you have plenty of tread on your tires, make sure they're have the right pressures on them, know how to check the pressures. Most of the time you want to check your pressure on a cool tire, not on a hot tire. So you want to make sure you check those pressures when it's cool, make sure they're properly inflated per the manufacturer's recommendation. And the last thing that you want to worry about with these tires is being overweight, because if you're overweight, that causes excess heat on the tire because it's working harder than it should. If you have a combination of all three, low pressures, overweight, and bad tires, or even low pressures, you increase your chances with each of those for a blowout. So make sure that you're keeping an eye on those pressures and the tread on the tire. Make sure you're looking at those indicators that are on the tires to let it know it's time to change. The age of the tire, the temperature of the tires when you're driving, and be conscious about not riding the brakes. If you have a exhaust brake or an engine brake and you're going down steep inclines, it's always good to have that engine brake or exhaust brake engaged, and that will really help you prevent and overheating those tires. Another safety thing that people can use or add to motorhomes, and the co-host Kenny has this. Unfortunately, he's not here to talk about it, but a safety plus bar. One of the things that it will do is help improve driving safety in the event of front tire blowouts. So what this will do is help keep your tires pointed straight in the event of a blowout. Among other things, road shoulder drop off, passing traffic. You can feel your RV start to drift a little bit if you're in heavy traffic, or big trucks passing by, or sometimes even Greyhound buses will do it. Potholes, pavement drops, general bad road conditions, which we all know the U.S. does not have the best roads in a lot of places. So having some sort of steering control device on your RV will help you in the event of a tire blowout, will keep you from veering off the road in that event. It will help keep those tires pointed straight. So this is another good safety product, and it also improves ride comfort, I'm told. I have a towable. I don't have a safety plus bar, but I am thinking about getting one for my big 3500 truck, just because I've heard so much good things about them, and for the safety part of it. You can't go wrong with as many safety features as you can. We've had them on the show. I'll put a link to the episode in these notes so you can take a listen. The last thing I want to talk about is most people don't know how to handle a big vehicle or even a small vehicle when you have a front tire blowout. Most people want to immediately put on the brakes and turn to the side to get the vehicle stopped and out of the way. All the advice that I've heard is that this is the absolutely incorrect thing to do. What do you do in the event of one of your front tires blowing out? And most people say, actually give it a little more gas to keep it straight, and then slowly ease off and pull into a safe area where you can get off the roadway. You never want to overreact. And that, unfortunately, is something that I think humans do just because that's what we're built to do, is react. And the first thing you want to do is jerk the wheel and get off the road. But you don't want to do that. You want to get control and look for a place to pull off. Actually, slamming on the brakes can cause the RV to actually flip over on its side because of the weight shift. When you lose that front tire, those tires are big, have a lot of air in them, and you're certainly going to tilt a little bit when that tire blows. If you jam on the brakes, that part's going to drop first, and it could cause the RV to roll over. So what the advice is to get a good grip on the steering wheel. You may need to accelerate instead of slowing down. Slowly ease off and pull off in a safe area. And then having all these safety things, tire pressure monitor, so you can maybe see that happening and slow down and start getting off the road to let your tires cool off, and inspect them, to a safety plus bar where it's going to help you keep that alignment straight ahead, and you'll be able to easily slow down and steer off in a safe place. So those are the things I wanted to talk about based on this article. Again, I certainly hope these two people are okay. The front of the RV looks horrible, and I certainly hope that they are able to get back on the road, because we like seeing RVers out there. They'll certainly have a good story to tell around the campfire if they do, in fact, get back out there. So that was it for this mini episode, and I hope you guys enjoyed it, and leave comments on what you think people should do in the event of a blowout, or what safety features you have added to your RV to help keep you straight and safe in the event of a tire blowout. And until we see you all on the road, safe travels, everybody, and be safe out there.